So good morning, good afternoon and good evening. My name is Rich Clark and I've been a holistic therapist for over 14 years and I've been a hypnotherapist for over 8 years. So for Throwback Thursday I talk about my favourite films, my favourite TV programmes and my favourite music albums. I've done over 50 of my music albums I spoke about. I've done about 20-30 films spoken about, and I've done about 20 TV shows. So I'm going to carry on my favourite films, and I'm going to talk about a guy called Richard Linklater's films. And the first film I'm going to talk about is a film from 2001 called Waking Life. So Waking Life is an American animated film written and directed by Richard Linklater. The film explores a wide range of philosophical issues, including the nature of reality, dreams, and lucid dreams and consciousness. So the actual story is centered on a young man who wanders through a succession of dream-like realities where he encounters a series of people who engage in insightful philosophical discussions. The entire film was digitally rotoscoped, and it contains several parallels to Linklater's 1991 film Slacker. In this, Ethan Hawke and Julia Delpy reprise their characters from the 1995 Before Sunrise in one scene. Waking Life premiered at the Sundance Festival and was released on October 19, 2001 to critical acclaim. So, what's the plot? Plot is an unnamed young man lives in an ethereal existence that lacks transitions between everyday events and eventually progresses towards an existential crisis. So what's an existential crisis? The existential crisis is when an infinite conflict characterized by the impression that life lacks meaning and confusion about one person's identity. As being a hypnotherapist, we deal with a lot of this. People have existential crises where they feel they have anxiety and stress and they don't know where their path is or where they belong. Hence, in my program, the ARC program, we deal with the past, how we accept that, and then we literally revive the present and then create a new future to see the future ahead of what they should achieve. So this character, he observes quietly but later participates actively in philosophical involving other characters, ranging from quirky scholars and artists to everyday restaurant-goers and friends about such issues as metaphysics. So metaphysics is the idea that we have four realities, which different ways we can look at life. Free will, and the idea of that is where our free will is where we make decisions for ourselves and not have it predetermined. Social philosophy, which is about the philosophy and the meaning of life, of what life entails and what it counters as. Other scenes do not even include the protagonist's presence, but rather focus on a random, isolated person, a group of people, or a couple engaging in such topics from disembodied perspectives. Along the way, and this is why this film is quite interesting, the film touches on existentialism, situational politics, and the film theory of Andrei Bazin and lucid dreaming. Now, lucid dreaming is the idea of that is in the psychological subfield of onorology. A lucid dream is a type of dream where a person that is dreaming realizes they are dreaming during their dream. The capacity to have lucid dreams is a trainable cognitive skill. During a lucid dream, the dreamer may gain some amount of voluntary control over this. So gradually the protagonist begins to realize that he is living out a perpetual dream, perpetual meaning carrying on, broken up by only occasional false awakenings. So his false awakenings is a vivid and convincing dream about awaking from sleep, while the dreamer in reality continues to sleep. So this is what we call like sub-dreams. After a false awakening, subjects often dream they are performing their daily routines, such as showering or eating false awakenings, mainly in this one. So far, he is mostly a passive onlooker, though this changes during a chat with a passing woman suddenly approaches him. After she greets him and shares her creative ideas with him, he reminds himself that she is a figment of his own dreaming imagination. Feel they've met people and things, and it's actually not. And then also the people have sort of deja vu. Afterwards, he starts to converse more openly with other dream characters, but begins to despair about being trapped in a dream. The protagonist's final talk is with a character, played by the director Richard Linklater, whom he briefly encountered previously in the film. The last conversation reveals this other character's view that reality may be only a single instant the individual interprets falsely as time, that living is simply the individual's constant recognition and negation of God's invitation to become one with the universe. This is where people believe in the Gnostic ideas that we are born with God inside us and that we can control our environment and control our lives, instead of being the idea that we're looking at an omnipresent thing and believing that only. The dreams offer a glimpse into the infinite nature of reality, and in order to be free from the illusion called life, the individual needs only accept God's invitation. The protagonist is last seen walking into a driveway when he suddenly begins to levitate, paralleling the scene at the start of the film of a floating child in the same driveway. The protagonist certainly reaches towards the car's handle, but is too swiftly lifted above the vehicle and over the trees. He rises into an endless blue expanse of it until he disappears from view. So again, all these things is about the idea of what is reality, what is fantasy, what is lucid dreaming, what is astral travel, and so forth. And this film really goes on to this, really kind of works it in an interesting way. And this is why Richard Linklater, to me, is a really interesting director, because he came up with stuff which was very unusual, using animation in a different way, in an adult way as well, and then trying to come up with these multi-layered ideas of how that would work. So within that film became very successful, and it's now something of a film which talks about the idea of the dreamlike state. So, like I said, this is my first film, I think, which is excellent of his. Slackers is a great film, but I think this is my favourite of his at the beginning of all his films. But I'm going to go into the other films of his which I think are really great.